What's up, everybody? It's Izzy, and we are once again going to talk about arousal in this video. Arousal, generally speaking, is, your ability to summon adrenaline, to get psyched up, to get, crazy or whatever, to bring out the demons. There's a lot of different words for increasing your arousal or generating psych. There's lots of different terms, but that's what we're getting at here. And here's kind of what you're supposed to say when you discuss this topic. For everybody, there's an optimal level of arousal where they maximize, kind of those adrenaline effects without increasing their anxiety too much to the point where kind of technique goes out the window and they're focusing on the wrong things. So the idea is that some people are going to benefit the most from a very high level of arousal when they lift, and other people will benefit less and need a lesser level of arousal based on, their personality and things of that nature. Now, there's a lot of truth to this, and I don't want to say that it's not true, okay? However, I am going to say that for the most part, I think that getting psyched up is an overblown and overrated aspect of training. Now, if you're a younger lifter, it's very fun to do this, to get super psyched up and try to hit PRs. And, when you're a younger or newer lifter and you're still capable of regular PRs and you're still learning your body, you can kind of will yourself to new PRs. This was really not the case when you're more of an advanced lifter, especially if you're more of an advanced lifter who's doing like sub-maximal programming. PRs come when they come. They're not necessarily just I can't go to the gym, for example, and regardless of how I feel, will myself to a rep PR the way that I could when I was a novice lifter or a early intermediate lifter. When you are a late stage intermediate or advanced lifter, progress is more dependent on the accumulation of volume over time. Your ability to get crazy for one session often can do more harm than good because it makes that session way more fatiguing than it otherwise would. Sure, you're going to lift a little bit more, like in that maybe 2 to 3%, maybe 5% if you get super psyched up, but it's still not going to be enough more often than not for you to set a PR every single time just because you're psyching up. And the stress that you will accumulate from that added psych is going to severely limit the volume that you can handle. And in reality, if you're doing a sub-maximal type of program, so I'm not really talking about like conjugate or other max effort systems, but if you're doing a sub-maximal program, getting crazy for one of your sub-maximal volume days is counterproductive, because in the long run, what you're looking for is that accumulation of volume over time to get you stronger. So what I'm seeing in my, coaching, who knows how many people at this point, is that I really believe that psyching up is overrated and overused when you are a more advanced lifter. It's something that you need to stop focusing on. I realize that it is very fun to do when you feel good, not when you feel bad, huh? But when you feel good, psyching up is very fun to do. But again, psyching up puts the focus on the wrong thing. And here's what I mean by that. It puts you in your head about how you feel that day. So you're thinking more about the sensations of the lift. Am I fresh? Am I sore in specific muscle groups? Is the bar moving as fast as it normally does? Am I at 80% psych? Am I at 100% psych? When you're focusing on how much adrenaline you can generate, you're focusing on a variable that is, to some extent, largely out of your control. I mean, you do influence it, of course. It is possible to generate psych at any given time. It is a skill that you should perhaps learn. But what I'm really getting at here is that if you are fatigued, or you had a bad day outside of the gym, life stress, or if you're feeling like a god that day, your level of psych is not something that can be consistent and repeatable every single training session. This is not debatable. It's just 100% impossible for you to have a consistent level of psych every single training session. It's something that will come and go regardless of what you do. Even if you don't focus on psych at all, you're going to have days where you're way more psyched up than others, even without focusing on it, because you're going for a PR, because you feel great that day, or you feel horrible that day, so your level of psych is very low. But your surroundings and the training that you're doing will naturally map to your level of psych. And when you're at a meet, more often than not, you are going to be extremely psyched up and have an extremely high level of arousal because of the high stakes and the anxiety of the situation. So it's not even something that you need to generate on game day. It's almost automatically going to be there. And in fact, people who do focus on arousal on meet day often get overwhelmed due to the added stimulus, and it causes them to have mental breakdowns where they just do something completely different than their normal technique, or they get scared of the weight, or they worried about how psyched up they're getting versus worrying about what I would like most of you to focus on instead, and that is technical execution. So the reason why I would prefer to see people focus on technical execution is manyfold. But again, you can always focus on your technique. Whether you feel like a god or you feel like a peasant, focusing on your technique is something that you can do in every single training session. By running through your checklist, you can build technical proficiency in every single workout. Your technique gets slowly better over time. And like I said, by putting your focus on technique, you're focusing on something that you can always control, that is always consistent, that is always repeatable. And on days when you feel good and your psych is just naturally higher, you're going to hit bigger numbers. And on days when you feel like shit, for who knows why, right? Who knows? Your focus is still going to be on something productive, and that is your technique. You can always improve your technique. You can always get in more quality reps, even if you feel like crap. However, when you're focusing on your psych and how you're being in your body and how your body feels and comparing how those sensations are to the last time or to last week or to this one time you set this mega PR, your focus is on the wrong thing because you can't control that. You can't think fatigue away. Okay? You can't psych away fatigue. Sure, you can increase your performance in the moment by psyching up, but fatigue is fatigue, and you can't get rid of it through sheer willpower. So, again, I really think that most people should be focusing on technique because, like I said, the arousal will come to you, particularly on game day. And so if you're already practiced every single training session thinking about your technique and just executing the lift and making the technique as good as possible, you're going to find yourself less likely to get into those situations where you're overwhelmed by anxiety on the platform because it's already going to be habitual for you to focus on execution and technique, which automatically gets you out of your head, gets you out of thinking about emotions, because what you're focusing on is the most important thing, and it's the only thing that you can control, and that is how you perform the lift. It's not the only thing you can control, but it's the only thing that you can always control 100% consistently, okay? So if you want to increase your consistency, both in training and on the platform, I would highly recommend that most of you just stop worrying about psych up, okay? How psyched you're getting, get rid of your psych up rituals to a certain degree, and just focus on technical execution. The psych will come to you when you need it, but technical execution can only be built through thousands of repetitions and practice. And if you're focusing on that in practice, you're getting quality practice. And then on game day, ideally, since your programming doesn't suck, you're going to have low to no fatigue. You're going to be peaked on game day for your meet. And the crowd and the judges and the lights is automatically going to generate arousal for you. And even if it does overwhelm you to some degree, you'll go back to your habits and training, which is focus on technique, execute, execute, execute. And that's really all I have to say about this one, guys. Bottom line, for me, I would rather see you guys focus on technical execution than worrying about getting, all glossy-eyed and frothy at the mouth trying to become Mr. Rage Psych guy. Anyways, as always, my friends, have a nice day and good luck through training. Peace.